What up, YouTube Live? How's it going? Good morning, everybody. Right now is Monday, October 29th. Halloween is this week, so it's going to be awesome. So happy Halloween to all of you. Um, I didn't do the Rockin' It with Rama Screen Live, our weekly show yesterday because I was at the LA Comic Con 2018 downtown LA. So uh Rocking It with Rama Screen Live will return this coming new Sunday, November 4th. So make sure you tune in. We're gonna discuss entertainment news from the world of movies and TV and pop culture. All right, so right now I'm gonna take this time to do a quick review of The Walking Dead season 9, episode 4, which I saw last night, but I didn't get to review it last night because I was just too exhausted, man. I came back from this long screening of this super long foreign language film that is trying to compete for the foreign language film category at the Oscars, at the upcoming Oscars. So that movie was so long. I got home, I watched The Walking Dead season 9, episode 4, and I was just too tired to talk, and I just went to sleep. So right now I'm gonna give this to you, my review, real quick, live stream, one take, straight up, while I have some flu going on here. Before I head out back to Los Angeles to do a TV interview, the movie is Boy Erased. So I will be interviewing Joel Edgerton, the director and the actor from the film. All right. The Walking Dead season 9, episode 4. The title is The Obliged. Again, as I always say in my review or recap of The Walking Dead, in my videos of recap and reviews of The Walking Dead, there will be spoilers. So I will be discussing spoilers in this video. Heads up, spoiler alert. Okay. There are two big things happening in this episode. The rest are just kind of like setting things up for the next episode. The two big things are Daryl and Rick. Daryl versus Rick. Finally, they're confronting each other about their disagreement, airing it out. And the other one is Negan versus Michonne. So Michonne visits Negan in the prison, and they have a talk. And Negan's trying to get into her head. So before we go tackle these two things that happen in episode 4, episode 4 actually starts out really interesting because the writer set it up in a way that shows you, okay, Michonne has two sides of her now. She's this lovable, joyous, playful Michonne who spends time with, the little ass kicker, Judy, toddler Judy. In the daytime, she's all this like mother figure to her. She's like the mom. And at night, she goes out on a killing spree. She kills zombies, walkers. She makes sure that her katana skills are still sharpened, and it's equivalent to like if people can't sleep during the night and they go out, punching boxing bag or benching, benching press, or hitting the gym. It's equivalent to that. I think, in my opinion, I've gone through that nights like that too. Like, my mind keeps racing. It's like I can't sleep, so I gotta do push-ups, or I gotta whatever. So what Michonne does at night out in the woods, killing the walkers, in a way that's sort of like a cathartic therapy, if you will, uh, or a way to get yourself exhausted so you can actually fall asleep. And there's nothing wrong with that. That whole cycle that they show at the beginning of the episode. I was like, okay, I do something similar. Not necessarily killing walkers, but something equivalent to that. A lot of people do. But it does play into the conversation that Michonne has with Negan, and so we'll discuss that. That part first. Because remember, I said there are two big parts happening in episode 4. So Negan sort of semi doing this hunger strike, but it's actually just a cry for attention. Um, it's a tactic because Negan has a way with words. One of his weapons, aside from Lucille, the barbed wire bat, is his words. He knows how to get in people's head. He knows how to mess with your head. He knows how to like disarm you. Just verbally disarms you. He knows how to do that. Um, so Michonne takes the food to Negan to the cell and it's like, hey, this hunger strike's got to end. You got to eat. We got to keep you alive for civilization that we're trying to build here to succeed. You got to stay alive. So Negan is like, hey, I'm not in the mood for food, but I'm in the mood for talking. So they have a talk, and Negan, in a way, he's trying to fish, right? He's trying to like, hey, you and I are not different. Kind of like it reminds me of that interrogation room, interrogation scene in the movie The Dark Knight between the Joker and Batman, Heath Ledger and Christian Bale. It's like, you and I are pretty much the same, basically. So I like that, but Michonne is having none of that. It's fascinating how sturdy she is, and other people would be like, oh, would be easily manipulated. Maybe ultimately can get used by Negan to free him or to let him out. But not Michonne. Or maybe Negan knows that whatever he says won't get through to Michonne anyway. But it's worth a try, right? It's worth a try. Better give it a shot. Um, so it gets personal. The conversation gets personal. They talk about the people they've lost in their lives. Of course, Negan with his wife. I think he names his bat after her, and Michonne with her son. Prior to the life encountering or Rick, prior to the life of Rick and Judy, Michonne has sons and that died. And the writing is so good in this conversation scene of theirs. They get really, really in depth. To the point where you kind of, at least me, I wonder like, oh my God, are they really gonna connect? Are they really gonna finally, because they've lost somebody that in a way they kind of feel grateful that those people are not around to see who they are right now in the zombie apocalypse, just to see how they have evolved or to see the person they've become. Wow. In a way they share something in common here. But at the end, obviously, Michonne, and this is the brilliance of the writing of this episode, in my opinion. The way they connect this part with the Daryl versus Rick part is that what Michonne has over Negan, or maybe advantage, if you will, is that Michonne is like, okay, I lost my son, but I'm not gonna like, I'm not gonna set my life around that. All right, I'm not gonna build a barbed wire bat and name it after my son. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna name my katana after my son. I'm not gonna uh, put a shrine, for my son. You know, yes, my son is dead, but right now I'm looking forward. That's why in the daytime she also like reads books. She's trying to, you know, carve up this constitution or bill a charter bill, trying to form the civilization, a United States government, if you will, and from scratch. Um, so it's like I need to move forward. I'm trying to grow something here. And whereas Negan is like, where's my bat? Where's my wife? Where's Lucille? I need her with me. And so he is devastated when he finds out that Lucille's still out there, out in the, because in his head, as he said, like, my wife is weak. My wife would not survive this zombie apocalypse world. So the idea of the bat, Lucille's bat's out there, on her own, vulnerable, it hurts him, because he sets his life around that. Um, and he sets his decision making and everything and his action and his approaches and his manipulation around that. Um, and that brings us to the second part, which is Daryl versus Rick. Remember, I told you in the previous episodes, episode recaps or episode reviews, that I have my doubts about whether or not this plan to realize Carl's dream or Carl's wish or Carl's vision, if the plan is doomed from the start. Like, yeah, it's nice and all that you want to break the cycle. Remember, I told you, like, the show is getting stuck in a loop. You bring another bad guy, or uh, either the governor or Negan or another big bad guy, and then Rick tries to beat that bad guy or the bad guy's group as they move from one community to the next, from the prison community to I don't know, Terminus to Alexandria. So it's a loop. I get it. So Carl's vision or Carl's wish does break that cycle, and Rick, as a dad, tries his best to honor his dead son's wish. At the same time, I said to you that I don't know if it's gonna work in a zombie apocalypse. Maybe it could work in our society today, right? In our society today that has some laws or rules or boundaries already set in place. Um, but in a kill or be killed world, I don't know if that whole kumbaya thing, forming United States out of scratch kind of thing. I don't know if it's gonna work out. Um, and remember, people are divided about how Maggie um, sentenced Gregory to death by hanging. Do you remember that? Oceanside sees that and says, "Okay, so there's two separate justice system here: the one that Rick is doing, civilization, and the one that Maggie's doing, which is still kill or be killed, eye for an eye." And so they're adopting Maggie's system to relieve them of this need for vengeance. Um, and as I try to remember, I think you might correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in the early history of the United States, even George Washington himself, when he's leading the Continental Army against the British Army, even he would either hang or sentence to death those who committed treason within his if among his men commits treason, they would hang him or her, or maybe do a death penalty by shooting. I think they did that in the early parts of United States in the early history. So what I'm trying to say is that if you want to put it in that kind of context of these communities, Oceanside, Hilltop, Alexandria, the Kingdom, if you want to see them as some kind of colonies that trying to get together and form this united colonies, if you will, there will be some rough draft along the way. There will still be um, capital punishment that happens along the way. Uh, Rick's version of keeping Negan in prison will not easily or quickly be adopted by everybody um, within those separate colonies that they're trying to get together. Do you see what I'm getting at? So um, it's a work in progress, but it's gonna be bloody if you really, really want to realize Carl's vision. Now, at the same time, excuse me, my nose is kind of leaking here. Um, I'm on the side of Daryl. I because Daryl versus Rick, because they find themselves in this pit, which apparently is deep enough. I don't know where this pit came from. Somebody who dug it, for example, maybe to trap walkers. I don't know. All of a sudden, they find themselves in this pit, um, and they have this conversation. The conversation is like, Daryl's like, "Dude, stop making something out of a wish that is not meant to happen." He's like, "I respect Carl." He said, I would have died for Carl, but to live in a life like this based on a wish that is just impractical in a zombie apocalypse world, it's nonsense. You're making us to put faith in these saviors, but you yourself, you are not putting faith in us, the ones who have been with you all these years. Because in the conversation between Rick and Daryl, Daryl brings up these memories of the past. All of a sudden, I remember these episodes because the names that he mentioned, like Glenn did this, Abraham did this, they all these guys. Do you remember that part where we saved your ass and stuff like that? It's like, oh yeah, I saw that episode. Oh, good times, nostalgia. Um, so Daryl said, "Let him go, let him go, let Carl go." Just like Michonne managed to let her sons go. It's like, don't center or don't set your life or evolve. Don't make it evolve around that. Don't make it an obsession of yours. Let him go. That's what I meant by there's a connection there between part one and part two, between I'm sorry, Michonne versus Negan, and between Daryl versus Rick. Because Rick is like, no, if we kill Negan, Negan's gonna be a martyr. Now he has a point in that too. When he said that, I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense, right? If you kill Negan, people might see him as some kind of a martyr, and at least the saviors would, and like, oh, they get even more motivated. Or you can argue that they're already motivated now, even when Negan's alive. As you could see in this episode 4, the saviors, for some reason, got themselves a couple of guns, and they're rising up. They're fighting back. So I think my counter argument to Rick is that, hey, uh, if a community, all right, be it saviors or anybody, want to rise up against you, they will, despite Negan being alive or dead. All right. Gregory's dead, and he's not a martyr. But then again, you can argue that nobody actually looks up to Gregory the way the saviors do Negan. But my point is that they're already doing it anyway. They're already rising up against you, right? And Negan's still breathing. If you kill him, they'll rise up too. So it won't make a difference. uh, but I totally get, though. I'm not a parent. I can't put myself in a parent's shoes. So this whole thing with Rick trying to honor his dead son's wish, it's something that I think can connect more with parents everywhere. This is a very, very what's nuanced and deep struggle that we see here amongst the characters, the lead characters of The Walking Dead. I think this episode 4 is a fantastic episode. Of course, we get to see the whole zombie filling up the pit, and Rick. There's always pulse pounding moments, right? In every episode, there's at least 2 or 3 like fighting off zombies. The stuff that the filler stuff in the episode 4 that I mentioned to you earlier that are just set up for next episodes. One of them is not that between Father Gabe and Anne. This is just a way to, I think, to end Anne's story. Because a character in The Walking Dead, either you kill him off or you ride him off into the sunset. And I think that's what happens here with Anne. Maybe we'll get to see her again in the near future with that helicopter. But right now, I feel like the writers are like, we got to move away, move on from her, and focus on this side of the story. And so we're gonna miss Polly-Ann McIntosh. Is that, I think that's the actor's name, right? Polly-Ann McIntosh. Ah, such a fantastic, attractive actress, by the way. I'm gonna miss her. I'm gonna miss seeing her face in The Walking Dead. If episode 4 is her goodbye, I wish her well in her career. I hope she gets even other equal or even better gigs in the near future. Lastly, the episode 4 ends with Rick getting he falls from his horse because he's trying to lead the herd of walkers away, but he gets trapped in the middle of both herds of walkers, and the horse panics and he falls off the horse, and he falls down and onto this spike that for some reason is there. Maybe it's part of the rubble. So now we're wondering, holy crap, is this the end of Rick? Because as you know, season 9, this season, is Andrew Lincoln's final season. This is his final season. He's leaving the show. And so, is this it? Is this it? Is this how he's gonna go out? Is this the way that they kill Rick? In that he's stuck in a spike, and then the walkers eat him up, eat his flesh to death, and he becomes a walker. I don't know. Or will somebody come there in time to save him? But it looks pretty bad. Like, it's another story if he gets if the spike goes through. It's another story if the spike goes through his leg, probably, or his arm. Of course he'll still bleed out, but I don't think it would be as fatal if it's like through the ribs or through the stomach, which I think that's what happens here. Man, it looks bad. I don't know right now. I don't know how they can save him. They, as in Daryl and everybody else. It's so upsetting that he just doesn't want to listen to Daryl. Daryl's like, no, come with me. We'll go on our bike. It's like, damn it, Rick, so stubborn. So yeah, I feel really, really scared for Rick. I don't know if you feel the same way, but we're gonna have to see next week's episode whether or not he survives or if this is it. What do you think? Is this his goodbye? Is this his departure? Is this the way that Rick goes out? And what do you think about episode 3, The Obliged? What do you think about those two big parts? The conversation that Michonne has with Negan and the conversation that Daryl has with Rick. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And thank you for tuning in to this review of The Walking Dead, Season 9, Episode 4, The Obliged. And make sure you subscribe to my channel and ring the bell so you can get notified whenever I post new videos. And as always, if you can help support this channel, please do so at patreon.com/ramascreen. That's patreon.com/ramascreen. Let's rock this.